people were just watching this market data. They don't know what's going on anymore. Is Bitcoin a hedge is the question. Everyone's wondering, like, I mean, why shouldn't I get into Bitcoin? They're like, oh, but it's going to dump with the S&P. But they're like, but it's not the S&P. Let's move on to the show now and see what's going down. What is the show? The show is like the world markets. The show is everything. Let's take a look at ES1, S&P futures. All right. So this morning we saw it in the same thing, and then we dumped to the downside, right? And then bearishly retested, just very similar to Bitcoin. So you can see, like, if Bitcoin's doing the bearish retest, so is this, you know. Now, Bitcoin's in a more of a welcoming pattern, I would say. You see what I'm saying? S&P is struggling right now, right? You could say it's in this falling wedge flag. But again, it was unable. Look, shoulder, head, kind of a shoulder, and triple rejection here. Unable to get above resistance at 36.35. And I kept talking about how important it was to get above 36.50. And look, there's a point of control here at 36.25 that we were rejected by on the local area too. So S&P is just absolutely struggling, looking horribly ugly. Let's make some sense of it together. I'm going to just redraw my lines and see where we're at and just show you what I see. This is the S&P, all right? This is like the world, all right? Right here, you have this liquidity zone right there where we're, you know, desperately trying to hold on to. You have like one last resort area here, and you lose that, I mean, you're going down, right? You can see there's a gap there pretty fast. How do I know if our retest the trend line is confirmed? Do you maybe wait for a candle close or a small? Yeah, I wait for a candle close in the 15-minute, 1 hour time frame. Yep. You wait for the candle above the area to close, above the resistance or support, or below the resistance or above the support, right? So this is why everyone's like at this freakishly scary moment, because we lose this, and you can see we kind of already lost these high zones. So what it is telling you, the way we trade VRVP is when you lose these high volume nodes, like you're going down to this one, right? I mean, this is your last area. So it's saying that everyone's waiting and there's more buy orders to get back in, or where the market should recover is around 29, right? You're in a falling wedge that should break to the upside, right? But the daily still has some downside to go. The 4-hour time frame pumped and didn't give you much. And so I'm a stochastics RSI trader, and I'll tell you why. It's because the more you stick with them, they teach you about the momentum that you were given. And that's how they're a leading indicator, because they teach you. For instance, let me show you what I mean. The stochastics went up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? And then let's go back to all the uptrends we had from this bottom to this top. Little move, nothing, right? From this bottom to this top, it kind of did a bunch of nonsense. And then eventually this one went up, and that was a bigger move. Point of the story is every time we go from there to there, it's been a lackluster move. And even the big ones like this one and this one, all right, didn't get us out of trouble, right? Didn't break through resistance. And now we had the dotted line go all the way to the dotted line again. And there could be more to come, of course, but for what we saw, it was a very weak showing by the stochastics RSI. So compared to all the other times, right? Very weak, very weak. However, you know, can we double bottom here? There's a chance, right, that we're trying to hold the zone. So if this breaks to the downside, S&P is going further down, 34, and that's got to drag Bitcoin lower unless we decouple for some crazy reason, which could happen. I'm open-minded. Most people are just like, no, it has to be the same every time. And then we get back above this point of control at 36.50 and then back into this area. However, like this area is now still a huge area. Like we were breaking significant lows for a while now on the S&P, all right? So this is what we need to get at. And then this has to break to the upside. And even then, we're still struggling. You know what I mean? Like then we'd have to get above this 43333. You saw that? It's funny. We have to get above that area there at about 43.50 to remain bullish. So S&P is not in the best place, to be honest with everybody here. And we draw this line. You got this going. I guess you could even call this here. I mean, Again, these are generally bullish patterns, broadening, falling wedges. So, but these levels have to hold, right? And you can see if this breaks to the downside, falling wedges break the base of the back end and they slip down fast. And that would take you back to the end of this area. So you can see where the S&P is going to go here. We're at a bit of a standstill. 3,600 hanging by a leaf right now, right? On the S&P futures. So what do I believe is going to happen based on the charts, or what do the charts convey based on my system? I mean, the 1 hour is rolling over on you right now. Doesn't look strong. Couldn't get above a previous high, and it's already above the dotted line. So to me, a rollover and the S&P dumping, which would take Bitcoin even lower. I must admit, it would take Bitcoin even lower. All right. Unless we get some type of decoupling right now. So we flip back to the 1 hour time frame. We are getting back to lows, and now you can see how the S&P is in the same kind of structure Bitcoin's in. Same similar idea. Same, it's in a pyramid triangle structure here. So, okay, 1 hour bounces, gives us a little bit of a rally, but then we make an M. So you desperately must get back above in the local time frame, 36.29, or we're going down. So this is like, if you get up here and you can't go up, we're going down. Simple as that. 15-minute is low. And again, this is that falling wedge on Bitcoin. So you can see how the Bitcoin and S&P, very similar technical analysis, right? Remember, we go to Bitcoin, we look at it on the 15, and we're seeing if it can break out of this funky, falling broadening wedge, right? We look at the S&P and we can see if the 15-minute can break out of this. And then they're both generally in a pattern near the bottom of it, and if we fall, we're going to fall lower. So to the end of a wedge, we will fall here to the end of a wedge. The S&P will fall to the end of this wedge here. Okay. I mean, you can't show you it any clearer, right? So I'm looking at the DXY. All right. Remember we looked at the daily. Daily's oversold and trying to move, but I wanted to, I'm looking for a rollover here. It did pump as suggested here to the upside out of the falling wedge. But now it's getting to this area, and we want this double top. At least we want to see the dump, right? Yesterday, remember the 1 hour was high. We went sideways. We didn't get as much of a dump as we wanted, which is troublesome, right? Measured move is the base of this. So you could say this is an ascending triangle. They're 50-50. They could break up or down either way. Never clone alone. So check it out, DXY. Measured move for DXY is all the way here to 114. Measured move to the downside is 112. All right. We're watching this too. Similar situation as Bitcoin, right? They're kind of all in these standstill positions, waiting to break out of a tight movement. So that's why I'm telling you a big move is coming. Home market's kind of at a standstill here. Everyone is waiting for these moves. Now the 4 hours oversold for this kind of, in anticipation, like Bitcoin isn't. And it's kind of whack, to be honest. The only good thing about it is we can't get above the resistance at 113.50, right? So it's the only good thing. Bigger channel, if we look at the daily, is we're in this rising wedge that continues to rise up. The 3-day beat pushing to the downside, this should begin to dump. I look at the weekly's overbought. I look at the 2 week, the 2 weeks getting extremely overbought. The monthly says I'm cooked. So I would never get into an asset that looks like this on the monthly. It says it's just a few more weeks and this thing it's just not sustainable at all. So it's very interesting what we're looking at here. Very, very interesting, in my humble opinion. Shout out to the 400 beautiful likes. You people are unbelievable. Thank you, dear Lord, for that. You people are awesome. May God bless you for the rest of the day. Appreciate each and every one of you for that extra karmatic move you gave me. May you stay blessed. That's an honorable thing. It's very honorable to hit that like button. May you stay honorable. Amen. So check it out. DXY. Following this suit. We need a dump out of this channel to the downside. You see this launch down, bearish retest? That's going to be a beautiful move for Bitcoin to the upside, right? 15 minutes suggests we're going to get the dump, just like Bitcoin is low on the 15 minute. So It's all about the 15-minute, everybody. In the next 2 hours, we're going to watch this. Can we dump to the downside? Can we get rejected by 113.64, 20, 50 area? And can we dump down to the measured move at 112? This would be a really big move for Bitcoin. This would help out. So I don't want to see the dollar break back above 113.71. Breaks back above that, trouble for Bitcoin. All right. So you can see how you can figure out where the market's going to go. Simple as that. All right. Take a look at total. 15 minutes going to really give us our signal. From there, you can trade alts short or long. If the dollar decides to pump, you short altcoins. All right. The dollar, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but if the dollar pumps, I short altcoins. If the dollar dumps, I trade altcoins, long. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about what altcoins you want to trade depending on what the dollar index does. All right. So looking at the total market cap, remember, could it be in an inverted head and shoulder? There's a chance. There's a chance. All right. Could it be in this slanted cup and handle? There's a chance. For the most part, it's back to the business in the same scenario here. Look. We do see a divergence here, which I keep bringing up, which is important. Swing down to swing down, swing up to swing up. That is a strong divergence on the radar, right? Measured move down to 689, measured move up to 111, right? I mean, we'd either devastate the market or we'd recover nicely. Everyone and their mother is short right now. More people are short in the S&P than since 2013. Never seen more people short, right? Are they all going to get crushed? Is it that easy to just short? Usually when everyone is doing something, it's not the look. But you never know, right? No guarantees in these markets. So look, I mean, you're looking at the total market cap, and it's tight again on the daily. 22 on the daily. Both suggest that you are going to get somewhat of a move to the upside here. You're getting beat to the ground, and you're attempting to recover. However, you have a POC at 903 that we can't get above. So we got to get above the point of control. We get above it, we can rip easily back to 111, 1.1 billion, and get trillion and get back into the $1 trillion range, right? So, but you can see there's heavy resistance here now at 935. So we got to reclaim 935, and there's heavy resistance right here at 911, of course, right? 911. So we must get back above 911. We must get it back above 945 to remain bullish. All right. $911 billion. I want to make that clear. Four-hour time frame still has momentum. MACD turning. This falling wedge must break to the upside above this point of control. So you can see in the next 5 to 6, 7 hours, maybe even 10 at the most, we're going to figure out our fate. We're either going to get rejected by this area and continue to dump S&P, and it's all going to collapse. Like today is the day of a nasty, huge dump. Or do we recover and pump? We're kind of at a standstill. A lot of fear in the market. Let's take a look at the fear and greed index. Make sure it's sitting at 20. Pretty fearful, right? I mean, it's been going up too. Like the fear, when the fear goes down, that means there's more fear. So fear was at 25 last month, now at 20. I like it in the teens, 8, 9, 10. That's really the best place to buy BTC, right? So there's a chance that it is a lower price to buy Bitcoin, in my humble opinion.